Hello friends, let us now learn some important points about the salivary gland. So in the salivary gland, if you see the first risk factors of salivary gland tumors, some risk factors which are associated with salivary gland tumors. First we have radiotherapy. Radiotherapy to head and neck is associated with mucoepidermoid carcinoma. Epstein-Barr virus is associated with lymphoepithelial carcinoma. uh, Epstein-Barr virus with lymphoepithelial carcinoma. Exposure to of silica, dust and nitrosamines are also seen. Then there is this risk factors are also associated with early menarche and nulliparity. Then we have trisomy 5, which is associated with mucoepidermoid carcinoma. Translocation of chromosome 11 is also seen. Polysomy 3 and 17 are associated with adenoid cystic carcinoma. Most common salivary gland neoplasm is pleomorphic adenoma is the most common salivary gland neoplasm. Then most common malignant tumor of salivary gland is mucoepidermoid carcinoma. Most common malignant tumor is mucoepidermoid carcinoma. Overall most common salivary tumor is pleomorphic adenoma. Then most common if you were asked most common neoplasm of salivary gland in children. In children, most common neoplasm in salivary gland is hemangioma. If you were asked what is the most common malignant tumor in salivary gland in children, then most common malignant tumor in salivary gland in children, it is mucoepidermoid carcinoma. Malignant salivary gland tumor, mucoepidermoid carcinoma. Then if you were asked what is the most common malignant tumor of minor salivary glands, most common malignant tumor of minor salivary glands is adenoid cystic carcinoma. We have adenoid cystic carcinoma has the most common malignant tumor of minor salivary glands. This list is very important. All salivary tumors are seen in parotid gland. If you see, all the salivary gland tumors are seen in parotid gland. All the salivary gland tumors are seen in parotid gland except adenoid cystic carcinoma and squamous cell carcinoma. Squamous cell carcinoma is most commonly seen in submandibular gland. Parotid gland is an exclusive site for Warthin's tumor and adenoid cystic and actinic cell carcinoma. For Warthin's tumor and actinic cell carcinoma, parotid gland is exclusive site. Parotid gland is also the most common site for pleomorphic adenoma, Warthin's tumor, actinic cell carcinoma, mucoepidermoid carcinoma, lymphoma and metastasis. The risk of malignancy is inversely proportional to the size of gland. So these are very important. Then for parotid gland malignancies, the investigation of choice is FNAC, and open biopsy is contraindicated because there can be tumor cell implantation can occur in the tract, or it can cause increased risk of parotid fistula. Best imaging that is done is MRI. Then parotid gland, in parotid gland 75% of the tumors are benign, whereas 25% of the tumors are malignant. In submandibular and sublingual salivary glands, 50% are benign and 50% are malignant. In minor salivary glands, 25% are benign and 75% are malignant. Now, treatment of salivary glands. Treatment is one, we can do surgical treatment, neck dissection and radiotherapy can be done. In the surgical treatment, we can do superficial parotidectomy, deep parotidectomy, total parotidectomy or radical parotidectomy. In neck dissection, if there are clinically palpable lymph nodes or if there is high grade malignancy, in both these cases you will do neck dissection. In radiotherapy, the main indications include if there is high grade tumor or large primary tumor, or if there is perineural invasion, or if there is invasion of bone, or if you have positive margin surrounding it, or if there is cervical lymph node metastasis, then you will do radiotherapy. So radiotherapy is done for high grade tumor, large primary tumor, Perineural invasion to the bone, positive margins, and cervical lymph node metastasis. That means if there is invasion with some complications, then you do radiotherapy. Then no role of chemotherapy is seen in this parotid gland tumors because incomplete short-lived response is seen due to chemotherapy, and there is no survival advantage which is seen. So in the incisions, now we will see incisions for parotidectomy. Incisions for parotidectomy, we can put 3 incisions. One, if this is the ear and this is the parotid gland, okay, here this is the mandible, here you will, so this is the ear in the back, this is the ear in from the back, okay, you will, this incision which you are putting like this is Lazy S incision or modified Blair incision or Sistrunk incision. Now, types of parotidectomy. Parotidectomy can be divided into 5 types. One, superficial or lateral or classical parotidectomy, where you will see benign and malignant tumors which are seen involving the superficial lobe of gland. In them you do this superficial or lateral parotidectomy or classical parotidectomy. You will do it for benign and malignant tumors involving the superficial lobe. Second, deep parotidectomy. Deep lobe parotidectomy is done for benign and malignant tumors which are involving the deep lobe. So in benign and malignant tumors involving deep lobe, we do deep lobe parotidectomy. Total conservative parotidectomy is done for benign and malignant tumors, and in them both superficial and deep lobe is removed here, and here facial nerve is preserved. Then we have radical parotidectomy. This is done for tumors invading the facial nerve. All tumors, all salivary gland tissue is removed, along with the facial nerve is also removed. Then extended radical parotidectomy. This extended radical parotidectomy involves the radical parotidectomy, that is removal of facial nerve with salivary gland, along with the removal of other structures like mandible, temporal lobe and muscles. This is done for mainly the tumors which are which have started to metastasize. Then surgical landmarks for facial nerve. This is important, asked many times. Surgical landmarks of facial nerve include styloid process, tragal pointer, tympanomastoid suture line. Tympanomastoid suture line is most constant. Retromandibular vein and posterior belly of digastric. Then complications of parotidectomy include: one, we have facial nerve paralysis or paresis can occur. There can be sensory abnormalities due to sacrifice of greater auricular nerve can be seen. So then Frey syndrome can occur, or salivary fistula can occur due to the damage of salivary gland duct. So this is about the parotid gland. Thank you for watching.